Tomorrow at 12:15 lunchtime, Arsenal travel to the One Call Stadium to face League One side Mansfield, and this is a moment where the Gunners have the chance to show the entire country that this squad has no limits while competing on 4 different fronts. Welcome to the Isaac Arsenal Update. I'm Isaac. Before we dive into today's breakdown, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe right now, turn on notifications, like the video, and drop your predicted score in the comments below. Also, stay until the end, because we'll cover everything. The expected lineup, tactical approach, injury updates, the threat Mansfield could pose, and the bigger meaning of this match for Arsenal's season. This is a full match preview, so let's get started. First, let's look at the situation Arsenal are currently in, because the context around this game is extremely important. Arsenal sit at the top of the Premier League table, 7 points, clear at the summit of English football. On Wednesday night, they defeated Brighton in what was a tough, professional performance. It wasn't the most beautiful football, but it was exactly the kind of victory that title-winning teams manage to grind out when necessary. The 3 points were all that mattered. That match took place on Wednesday. Now the focus shifts to Saturday's 12:15 kickoff at the One Call Stadium. After that, next Wednesday brings an even bigger challenge as Bayer Leverkusen travel to the Emirates for the Champions League round of 16. 4 competitions, 1 squad. Mikel Arteta is currently managing one of the most demanding fixture schedules Arsenal have faced in decades. This period of the season is exactly where true contenders separate themselves from teams that simply talk about competing on multiple fronts without actually delivering. Rotation will happen tomorrow. Arteta has little choice but to rotate the squad. But here's something important to remember. This does not mean Arsenal will be weakened. The squad depth is now so strong and filled with quality across every position that the team sent to Mansfield tomorrow would have easily been considered a very strong Arsenal starting lineup just a year ago. The recruitment work done by Arteta and the club during the summer has completely changed the depth and strength of this squad. And tomorrow we will see that depth tested in a real match situation. Now let's move on to the team news because that's what many of you came here for. In goal, Kepa Arrizabalaga is expected to start. David Raya will likely be rested ahead of the huge Champions League clash with Leverkusen, which makes complete sense. Kepa joined permanently in the summer, and although he hasn't featured much in the Premier League, he has performed well in cup competitions. He's an experienced and reliable goalkeeper who commands his penalty area well and should provide stability at the back. At right back, Ben White is a name drawing attention. White has missed the last few matches due to a minor injury, but there's a strong possibility he could return tomorrow. Reports from inside the club suggest he is in contention to start. If he does feature and comes through the game without issues, it would be a massive boost ahead of the Leverkusen match. White offers composure, intelligence, and quality going forward from deep areas, and in many ways he remains one of the most underrated fullbacks in European football. Whether he starts will become clear when the final team news is confirmed before kickoff. Now let's talk about the center-back situation, because this is where things become particularly interesting. William Saliba is currently dealing with an ankle issue and will not be risked in this match. That decision has already been confirmed. Meanwhile, Gabriel Magalhaes and Jurrien Timber are also expected to be rested, which is a very sensible call from Arteta, considering the demanding schedule and the bigger challenges ahead. So the big question becomes, who steps in to fill those defensive roles? Christian Mosquera is expected to partner 16-year-old Marley Salmon in the heart of Arsenal's defense tomorrow. Take a moment to really think about that. A 20-year-old defender who arrived from Valencia's academy this summer for $13 million, lining up alongside a 16-year-old product from Arsenal's own academy, who could be making his first competitive start for the senior team. On paper, that might sound like a risky move. But in reality, against a League One side and with an organized defensive system around them, plus experienced teammates nearby, it's actually a smart and carefully calculated rotation decision from Mikel Arteta. Mosquera has already shown this season that he's much more than just a squad player. His reading of the game is impressively mature for his age. He's strong, fearless in challenges, and very comfortable with the ball at his feet. The occasion should not overwhelm him. Now let's talk about Marley Salmon, because if he does start, it would be genuinely exciting. At just 16 years old, the Arsenal Academy centre-back has clearly impressed Arteta enough in training to earn serious consideration for this opportunity. And that's not a decision Arteta makes casually. This is the same manager who trusted Miles Lewis-Skelly before many fans even knew his name. The same manager who gave Ethan Nwaneri his first-team chance at an age when most players are still competing at school level. When Arteta decides to shine the spotlight on a teenager, it usually means there's something special there. It's a signal that we should all pay attention. At left back, Riccardo Calafiori is expected to come into the lineup. Miles Lewis-Skelly is suspended for this match after receiving yellow cards in both the Portsmouth and Wigan FA Cup ties earlier in the competition, which results in a one-match ban. Calafiori therefore becomes the obvious replacement. Piero Hincapié, currently on loan from Bayer Leverkusen, is technically another option, but with Leverkusen visiting the Emirates next Wednesday, Arteta understandably prefers not to risk using a player tied to that situation. Calafiori is technically sharp, confident on the ball, and has already demonstrated his quality across several appearances this season. He fits naturally into Arsenal's left side structure and should provide both defensive stability and attacking support. Now let's move into midfield. This is where Arteta seems to have built something more interesting than simply a functional setup. Christian Nørgaard is expected to sit at the base of midfield tomorrow, and that feels like exactly the right decision. Declan Rice needs rest, and Martin Zubimendi also deserves a breather after a demanding week of matches. Nørgaard provides the experienced and disciplined presence needed to keep the midfield organized. Since arriving permanently from Brentford in the summer, he has delivered exactly what Arsenal required: toughness, defensive intelligence, and consistent ball-winning ability. He's the kind of player who quietly makes the correct decision every time he receives the ball. He doesn't chase headlines, but he helps teams win games. For a cup match like this, he's the perfect anchor. Alongside him, Kai Havertz is expected to start in midfield, which adds an interesting dynamic. Havertz has played in several different roles this season: center forward, attacking midfielder, and even deeper positions. But in cup competitions especially, he has often been highly influential. Now fully fit after a minor concern earlier, he will bring energy, intelligent movement, and a genuine goal threat from midfield areas. Havertz is the kind of player who can decide a tight cup match with a single moment of brilliance. Completing the midfield trio is Ebereki Eze, a $60 million signing from Crystal Palace during the summer. And what an addition he has turned out to be. Eze has featured heavily in recent matches, so there is a fair argument that he could have been rested. However, Arteta clearly trusts him in these cup fixtures. His creativity, ability to operate between the lines, and confidence in one-on-one situations will all be crucial. Mansfield are likely to defend in a compact and disciplined structure, and players like Eze are exactly the kind who can unlock stubborn defenses with one flash of inspiration. Now let's talk about the front three, because this is where some genuine selection debates come into play. On the right wing, Noni Madueke, who joined from Chelsea for just under $50 million this summer, is expected to start. Madueke is quick, direct, and always carries a threat in front of goal. He has featured more regularly in cup competitions than in league matches so far this season, but every time he plays, he brings energy and unpredictability to Arsenal's attack. In the Premier League, he hasn't always started regularly, but tomorrow's match provides the perfect setting for him. There will be space to run in behind the defense, freedom to attack directly, and an opponent likely to leave room on the flanks. Because of that, I expect him to create serious problems down Mansfield's left side throughout the afternoon. The opposite wing is Gabriel Martinelli, and this is something worth discussing because it has quietly become one of the more interesting storylines of Arsenal's season. Martinelli has almost developed a reputation as a cup specialist. When he's given consistent minutes in these competitions and when the pressure feels slightly different from the relentless intensity of Premier League fixtures, he often finds his rhythm. His game is built on direct running, relentless pressing, and a hunger to seize attacking moments. In transition, he can be devastating. That energy alone could cause major issues for Mansfield. They have shown tremendous spirit during this cup run, but the pace and technical quality of Arsenal's attack will test them like never before. Leading the line tomorrow is expected to be Gabriel Jesus.